The stars were quiet that night, but the calm felt wrong. On the outer edges of the galaxy, humans were watching through telescopes and sensors, their hearts heavy with unease. For months, strange readings had appeared in the darkness ships. Moving too fast, energy spikes that did not belong to any known civilization. At first, the scientists thought it was a malfunction, a glitch in the deep space monitoring system. But then, the shadows started to take shape. Massive shadows, dark as the void itself. Stretching across the emptiness between the stars, Commander Alina Voss stood on the bridge of the human surveillance station. Her eyes locked on the holographic display floating in front of her. Isn't a scouting fleet, she said quietly, almost to herself. Something else. Something bigger. Her voice was calm, but the tension in her hands betrayed her. Around her, young officers murmured nervously. None of them had. Ever seen a formation like this before? Ships were enormous, black as obsidian, with edges that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in perfect silence, like predators circling unseen prey. The first 5 minutes passed like hours. Every sensor beeped and blinked, but the readings made no sense. Energy signatures were off the charts, faster than any known propulsion system. The ships were not just moving, they were awakening. Elena's stomach tightened as she watched the first vessels begin to accelerate. There was a rhythm to it, a slow, terrifying pulse, like the beating of a colossal heart. Something inside the Black Armada was alive, waiting. One officer, a young man named Kale, leaned forward. Commander, they're moving toward the colonies. This outer ring cluster. They'll reach them in hours. His voice shook. This was not just a threat, it was a promise. Elena's mind raced. The colonies were lightly defended, still rebuilding after decades of peace. If the Armada arrived, millions could die before. Anyone had a chance to react? Alert the council, she ordered, her voice steady now, though her hands were tight around the railing. Prepare for immediate evacuation and defensive protocols. But deep down, she knew it might already be too late. The humans had underestimated the galaxy before. They would not make that mistake again. The first transmissions from the Armada came next. They were not messages in any language known to the Council or the humans. They were pulses of energy, strange patterns that seemed almost alive. Analysts tried to decode them, but every attempt failed. The signals did not just carry information, they carried intent. There was intelligence behind them, cold and calculating, and it was focused on the human colonies. Meanwhile, aboard a small human scout ship, Lieutenant Rena Holt watched the approach of one of the colossal vessels. She had seen battles before, but nothing like this. The ship was so large that its shadow swallowed entire planets at a glance. Its surface rippled with black energy, moving as if it had its own consciousness. It's watching us, Rena whispered into her communicator, though no one else replied. Fear had silenced everyone on the bridge. As the Armada moved closer, a strange sound filled the void. Not sound in the normal sense space was silent, but a vibration that rattled the hulls of every nearby ship. It was subtle at first, then stronger, like the low growl of a beast that had just awakened from a long sleep. Even the most experienced officers felt it in their bones. Back on the surveillance station, Elena's console began to flash red. The Black Armada was not advancing in a straight line, they were encircling. Calculations showed the fleet was dividing, sending smaller groups ahead, probing defenses, testing responses. Each maneuver was precise, deliberate. They're smart, Kale muttered. More than anything we faced, Alina did not reply. She only stared at the display, feeling a mix of fear and awe. Then, just as tension reached its peak, the impossible happened. Out of the darkness, a human vessel appeared. It was old, smaller than the surrounding ships, almost invisible in the void. But the Armada stopped. Its massive vessels shifted, energy pulsating faster, as if confused. They recognize it, Elena whispered. They weren't expecting this. The small human ship moved forward with purpose, fearless, sliding between the colossal ships without firing a single shot. The sensors couldn't track it properly. The Armada seemed to hesitate, unsure how to react. For a few minutes, time itself seemed to freeze. Every eye in the observation room followed the lone ship. Its hull was scarred, battered from past battles, but it moved with a precision and confidence that no one could explain. Then a transmission came through, clear, calm, and chilling. "This is only the beginning," the voice said, simple, but filled with meaning. Everyone on the station felt a shiver run down their spines. Outside, the Black Armada pulsed again, as if waking fully from some long slumber. Ships shifted into new formations, energy flares sparking across the surface of the largest vessels. It was as if the fleet had become aware of the humans for the first time, and for the first time, it hesitated. Humans had entered the fight. The galaxy had underestimated them, and that mistake was about to become deadly. Alina looked at her crew, her eyes hard and determined. "Prepare everything," she said. "If this is war, we fight. And we fight smart." Around her, officers moved like trained shadows, following orders with precise efficiency. Every calculation, every sensor readout, every strategy would count. In the hours to come, the Black Armada was awakening, but so were the humans. And in the darkness of space, where light barely reached, the first flickers of battle began. Shadows moved with intent. Machines older than memory hummed to life. And somewhere, deep inside the human vessel that had appeared, a commander smiled. The fight had begun, and no one in the galaxy would be able to predict what would come next. The galaxy was silent again, but the calm had changed. Where humans once observed from a distance, now they were moving into the fight. The Black Armada had paused, confused by the sudden appearance of the lone human ship, but the humans were not waiting. Their fleets were gathering, small at first, but precise, ready to strike at the edges of the enemy formation. Captain Rena Holt commanded one of the first attack squads. Her vessel was sleek, built for speed rather than brute strength, yet its weaponry carried a hidden power that even the Armada could not anticipate. "Engage target Delta 1, she ordered, her voice calm, betraying none of the fear that her crew felt. Outside the viewport, dark alien ships moved like shadows, massive and silent, their energy pulsing in strange patterns. The humans struck first. Laser bursts lit up the void, and the first alien vessel exploded in a sudden flash, debris, scattering across the emptiness of space. Every sensor blinked red as the humans coordinated with astonishing speed. Every maneuver seemed deliberate, almost too clever to be real. Officers whispered to each other. "They know exactly where to hit," one said. "How? How do they know?" Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Black Armada flagship, alien commanders watched in disbelief. Their systems, advanced beyond anything humans had built, struggled to predict the movements of these small vessels. "Impossible," one alien hissed, its many eyes widening in anger and fear. "They anticipate every strike." Across the galaxy, reports poured in from other sectors. Human attacks were destroying supply lines, disabling weapons arrays, and striking at weak points no one else could see. The first 5 minutes of engagement were chaos. Smaller alien scout ships tried to respond, sending volleys of energy toward human vessels. But the humans moved faster, dodging and countering with deadly precision. Each human ship seemed to understand the Armada's movements before they happened. Kale, watching the battle from the human surveillance station, felt his stomach tighten. "They're not just fighting," he whispered. "They're thinking ahead, predicting." Suddenly, a massive alien cruiser, far larger than any other, emerged from the shadows. Its hull was blacker than space, lined with energy weapons that glowed red. It fired a volley at the human squadron. Explosions lit the void as smaller ships were torn apart, metal and fire spinning across the emptiness. Rena felt the vibrations through her hull, her crew struggling to maintain control. "Focus fire on the main cannon," she shouted. "We take it down now, or we lose everything." In a flash of coordinated brilliance, the humans moved as one. Their weapons, enhanced by secret technology hidden for decades, pierced the cruiser's defenses. The massive vessel shuddered, energy flares exploding across its surface, till finally it split apart, cascading into countless fragments. The victory was swift but terrifying. The remaining alien ships pulled back, confused and panicked. But the human victory came at a cost. One of Rena's ships, battered but brave, had taken a direct hit while providing cover. It spiraled toward a nearby asteroid field, flames trailing in space. Every officer on the human fleet knew the sacrifice was necessary, but the silence that followed the loss was heavy. Commander Alina Voss clenched her fists. "They knew the risk," she said quietly. "And they gave everything to win the first blood." Then came the signal from the human flagship, a simple message sent across the fleet. "This is only the beginning." Every officer on every ship felt the weight of the words. The humans had proven something undeniable. They were here to fight, and they would not be ignored. The Armada, for all its size and power, had underestimated them. On board, the alien flagship panic began to spread. Energy readings were erratic, communication lines scrambled, alien leaders shouted at each other, trying to coordinate a response, but the humans were always one step ahead. They were unpredictable, fearless, and ruthless in ways the galaxy had never seen before. For the first time in countless centuries, the Black Armada experienced doubt. The human fleet moved quickly, striking again before the aliens could recover. Supply lines were cut, communication arrays destroyed, and smaller ships targeted with surgical precision. Each attack was a statement. Humans had entered the fight, and they were not playing by anyone's rules. Kale could barely keep up with the reports. "Every ship, every move. It's like they're all connected," he muttered. "It's like one mind, one plan." Even with their victories, humans knew the war was just beginning. Alina studied the sensors, her mind calculating the next moves. The Armada was massive, far larger than anything humanity had ever faced. But humans had something the aliens did not: adaptability, creativity, and the willingness to risk everything for survival. And so far, it was enough. In the outer reaches of the battlefield, a small human ship approached a damaged alien cruiser. Its mission was simple, but deadly: deliver the final strike to ensure it would never fight again. The crew held their breath as the targeting system locked on. A single pulse, a flash of energy, and the cruiser disintegrated, leaving only drifting debris. Silence returned, but it was different now. The humans had tasted victory, and it had awakened a new hunger in them. As the battle paused, the humans regrouped. Ships moved in formation, repairing, resupplying, and preparing for the next engagement. The first blood had been spilled, but the war was far from over. Alina turned to her officers. "We've made them afraid," she said, "but this is only the start. We strike again, harder and smarter. They will never forget this day." Far across the galaxy, alien commanders communicated in panic. The humans were no longer a threat to be observed. They were a force to be feared. Ships that once moved with confidence now trembled in the void. Unknown tactics, secret weapons, and a courage that refused to die had given humanity its first victory against the Black Armada. And in that moment, a silent promise echoed across space. The humans had entered the fight, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy was trembling. After the first blood spilled by humanity, the Black Armada had retreated slightly, but it was far from defeated. Its massive ships loomed over the colonies, dark shadows stretching across planets that had been peaceful. For decades, alarm sirens blared across human stations and civilian settlements alike. People ran in panic, trying to reach shelters and evacuation points as the shadow of the Armada grew larger with each passing hour. "Commander," Alina Voss watched from the observation deck of the orbital station above Talion Prime. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the approaching fleet. "They're testing us," she said, her voice low but firm. "They want to see how we respond. They want to find our weaknesses." Her officers nodded, fear mixed with determination in their eyes. Everyone knew what was at stake. The colonies were lightly defended. Even a single strike from the Armada could annihilate thousands. Below, on the surface of Talion Prime, chaos unfolded. Evacuation shuttles struggled to reach landing pads, while civilians carried what belongings they could. Soldiers tried to maintain order, but panic spread faster than anyone could manage. Kale, monitoring from the station, gritted his teeth. "If they hit before we're ready, we lose everything," he muttered. Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure they don't hit anything at all." The first shadow fell over a mining colony. The Black Armada's vessels glided silently, energy fields shimmering like black water around their hulls. Without warning, they began firing. Explosions tore through structures, sending clouds of dust and fire into the sky. But the humans were ready. Hidden defense systems activated from beneath the surface, automated turrets, energy shields, and unexpected traps left behind during earlier evacuations. The alien attack hit nothing critical. For every building destroyed, a trap claimed. A cruiser or sent it spinning into the void. From the orbital station, Elena watched as one colony was taken, seemingly intact. But something was wrong. Humans had left behind hidden mechanisms inside the colony's structures. As the alien soldiers moved through the streets, alarms erupted and energy fields detonated in precise locations. The Armada's troops were thrown into chaos. Ships overhead struggled to maintain formation while their ground units were being eliminated from within. It was the first sign of humanity's ingenuity strategies that were not just about brute force, but clever planning. Rena Holt piloted her ship above the colony, observing the chaos below. She could see the aliens trying to understand the traps, scanning for weak points, but each scan triggered another defense, and the humans had predicted every movement. "It's like they know our thoughts," one alien officer hissed through a secure channel, frustration evident in its tone. Rena's heart pounded not with fear, but with the thrill of seeing humanity's plans working. Meanwhile, the Black Armada regrouped, sending smaller groups to probe other colonies. Everywhere they went, humans had left subtle warnings and deadly surprises. Each strike by the Armada was met with resistance from automated systems, hidden mines, and precision attacks from human fleets stationed in orbit. Kale monitored every movement, feeling a mixture of anxiety and pride. "They don't just fight," he whispered. "They think ahead. Every move is calculated." But even as humans defended the colonies, the true danger was rising. The Black Armada's intelligence units were learning, adapting to every tactic. New weapons appeared in orbit, and alien ships began moving in unpredictable patterns. Lena knew this was only the beginning. "You can hold them for now," she said, "but they will come back stronger. We need to be ready for the next wave." In the midst of the chaos, a small human science team activated an ancient device buried deep within the ruins of a forgotten city. Energy surged upward, forming a shield around the colony that pulsed with power, creating an invisible barrier that no alien weapon could penetrate. Ships trying to enter the shielded area were ripped apart by strange forces. Even the Black Armada could not explain what was happening. They had underestimated the humans' ability to hide power where no one expected. As night fell, the shadows of the Armada stretched across multiple planets. Humans moved quickly, evacuating civilians, repairing damaged stations, and preparing traps for the inevitable next strike. Every colonist was aware of the danger, every soldier focused on defense, and every fleet commander planning the next move. The first encounters had proven one thing: humanity did not fight blindly. Planned, predicted, and struck with precision. From deep within the Black Armada, alien commanders watched the results of their attack. Confusion and anger filled their ranks. How could a species so small, so recently discovered, resist the might of the Armada? Every cruiser lost, every plan foiled, sent shivers through their systems. For the first time, the alien commanders realized humanity was not a simple threat. They were a force of unpredictable intelligence, capable of strategy and cunning beyond any other species they had encountered. Alina looked at the stars, the dark shapes of the Armada still hovering. In the distance, "They think they are testing us," she said softly. "But they have no idea what we are capable of." Our officers listened in silence, understanding the gravity of her words. Humans were no longer mere observers. They had entered the war, and every move they made now shaped the future of the galaxy. As the night stretched on, signals came from deep space. The Black Armada was sending reinforcements, preparing for a counterattack. Lena and her crew studied the incoming ships, knowing that the next battle would be even more dangerous. But humans had something the Armada could not predict: creativity, courage, and the willingness to risk everything to protect what mattered. And somewhere in the shadows of space, Lieutenant Rena Holt's ship moved silently, ready to strike again. The colonies were safe for now, but the war had just begun. The humans were awake. The Black Armada would soon learn that every shadow they cast over the colonies could be met with fire, strategy, and the unyielding will of a species. Had underestimated, the galaxy held its breath. Humanity had entered the fight, and the shadows over the colonies were only the beginning. The galaxy had grown tense. After humanity defended the colonies with clever traps and hidden weapons, the Black Armada was shaken. Its commanders had underestimated humans, and now they scrambled to regain control. But humans were not waiting. They had prepared their next move, a counterattack that would strike fear into the Armada's core. Commander. Lena Voss studied the fleet formations on the holographic display. Her eyes were sharp, calculating. "We hit their supply lines first," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We cut their reinforcements and confuse their command. Let them think we are weak, and then we strike harder." Around her, officers nodded. Every man and woman aware that precision and timing would decide the next outcome. Lieutenant Rena Holt piloted her ship at the front of the attack squadron. Her heart pounded with anticipation. First 5 minutes of engagement would be crucial. Outside her cockpit, massive alien ships loomed, black and silent, pulsing with energy. Sensors showed their formations tightening, preparing for a counterstrike. But humans had a plan that went beyond brute force. Its strategy, cunning, and knowledge the aliens could not anticipate. The first targets were alien supply convoys, moving between distant systems. Humans struck suddenly, appearing from hidden warp routes. Ships that should have been protected by numbers and firepower were caught unprepared. Lasers tore through holes, missiles detonated with pinpoint precision, and entire supply lines were destroyed within minutes. The Black Armada's intelligence units scrambled, trying to understand how humans had anticipated every movement. On the human observation station, Kale watched with wide eyes. "They know exactly where to hit," he muttered. "It's like they predicted the enemy before they moved." Elena did not answer. She only observed, calculating, ensuring the next phase went perfectly. Then came the main engagement. A massive alien cruiser emerged from behind a distant asteroid field, its surface glowing red with weapons charging. Rena's squadron moved into position, weaving through space with a speed and precision that left the Armada stunned. The first human ship fired, energy beams cutting through shields, striking the cruiser's engines. The vessel shuddered violently, alarms blaring across its deck. The alien commanders shouted orders, but chaos had already begun. Human ships moved unpredictably, hitting weak points the aliens had never revealed to each other. Smaller cruisers fell first, then fighters attempting to defend them. Every human vessel seemed to know exactly where to strike, like one mind controlling many bodies. Meanwhile, behind the front lines, hidden human warships struck at supply hubs and repair stations. Energy pulses exploded across docks, destroying maintenance facilities, communication arrays, and weapon stockpiles. The Black Armada's reinforcements slowed, confused by sudden losses in areas they assumed were safe. Panic spread through the alien fleets. They were beginning to understand that humans were not just fighters, they were hunters, tracking every movement, predicting every strike, and leaving nothing to chance. Rena's squadron reached the massive cruiser again. Shields flared, trying to block the incoming attacks, but humans adapted instantly. Coordinated strikes found gaps, penetrating the hull. Explosions ripped through the ship, metal tearing apart like paper. Crew members inside, the cruiser panicked, unable to stop the human assault. Within minutes, the massive vessel was drifting in space, crippled and burning, a monument to humanity's precision and cunning. Across the galaxy, the Black Armada leaders held emergency councils, their massive communication networks flashing warnings. How? How do they know every weak point? One alien commander hissed. They're not like any species we have ever encountered. But even as fear spread, the humans pressed their advantage. Alina gave a single command, and smaller squadrons moved to intercept fleeing ships, cutting off escape routes and preventing regrouping. In the chaos, Kale noticed something extraordinary. They're not just attacking, he whispered. They are controlling the battlefield, like it's one organism. Every ship, every strike, every maneuver was perfectly timed. Humans were everywhere, but nowhere predictable. The Armada's massive fleet, which had once seemed unstoppable, now appeared vulnerable, scattered, and fearful. Then came the final phase. Human warships used hidden warp gates to leap directly into the heart of enemy territory, striking at the central command nexus. Energy beams ripped through alien defenses, explosions spreading across the core of the Armada's communication networks. Ships that had once coordinated effortlessly now lost connection, turning on each other in confusion. The humans had not only struck, they had dismantled the command structure of the Black Armada itself. As the counterattack ended, the humans regrouped. Their fleet, though smaller, had achieved a decisive advantage. Entire supply lines were destroyed. Reinforcements were delayed, and alien morale was shattered. Commander Alina Voss studied the battlefield, her expression calm but satisfied. They think they can recover, she said quietly, but recovery is no longer an option. Every move we make now will shape the end of this war. Rena Holt watched, from her cockpit, adrenaline still rushing. They can't understand us, she whispered to herself. They can't predict what we're capable of. They will never know what comes next. Far across the galaxy, alien commanders reported chaos and confusion. The humans had done the impossible. They had struck deep, crippled the Armada, and emerged unscathed. Fear spread through the alien ranks, replacing confidence with doubt. Humanity had turned the tide in a single, brilliant strike. And yet, humans knew the war was far from over. The Black Armada would return, stronger, smarter, more desperate. But they had proven one undeniable truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were adaptable, fearless, and capable of precise strategy that even the largest fleet in the galaxy could not predict. In the quiet moments after the battle, the human fleet held position, preparing for the next engagement. Every officer knew what had been accomplished, and what was still ahead. The Black Armada had felt the first true sting of human tactics, and the galaxy would remember the day the humans struck back. The stars shimmered in the distance, but there, light could not hide the shadow of the Black Armada. It was still out there, still waiting. And somewhere in the darkness, Alina whispered to her crew, "We've shown them what humans can do, and this is only the beginning." The battlefield was silent for a moment, but the calm was deceptive. Humanity had struck the Black Armada hard, but the war was far from over. Across the galaxy, the alien fleets were regrouping, repairing damaged vessels, and preparing for retaliation. Yet the humans were not waiting. They had secrets, weapons older than most civilizations, and knowledge that even the Black Armada could not comprehend. Commander Alina Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Aegis, watching the stars with a keen eye. Reports had come in. Hidden fleets, long buried in the edges of human space, were now emerging. These warships were unlike any the Armada had seen. Their hulls were reinforced with materials unknown to alien science, their engines capable of speeds that defied detection, and their weapons could strike with devastating precision. For centuries, these ships had been hidden. There, technology preserved from a time before the galaxy knew of humanity. Lieutenant Rena Holt piloted her squadron through the black void, flanked by the ancient warships that had reappeared like ghosts. From history, the Armada scouts tried to intercept them, but they were too slow, too predictable. As Rena's ship approached, the hidden warships activated their long-dormant systems. Energy beams flared to life, and alien cruisers exploded. Before they could even react, each blast was surgical, precise, and unstoppable. Kale, monitoring the battle from the orbital station, could hardly believe his eyes. "They've been hiding this all along?" he whispered. "How? Why didn't anyone tell us? Elena did. Not answer. She only studied the display, her mind working through every variable. The humans had not just planned for war, they had prepared for the impossible. And now it was unfolding before the galaxy. Across multiple systems, the Black Armada's communications were filled with panic. Reports of human warships appearing out of nowhere, striking at the heart of supply chains and command hubs, left the alien leaders in disbelief. Their most advanced sensors could not detect the ships until it was too late. They have weapons older than our fleets, an alien commander muttered, its voice trembling with fear. And they are using them like they were made for this moment. On the front lines, Rena and her squadron navigated through a cluster of destroyed alien vessels. The wreckage floated silently, a testament to humanity's sudden and overwhelming power. But even as the human ships moved forward, the Black Armada attempted a counterstrike. Massive cruisers unleashed volleys of energy, trying to overwhelm the ancient warships. Yet every attack failed. Shields that had slept for centuries flared to life, absorbing and redirecting energy in ways that made the aliens' weapons useless. Elena's voice came over the comms. Keep moving. Target the command vessels first. Show them the true strength of humanity. Her tone was calm, but each word carried the weight of experience and authority. Every captain and lieutenant obeyed without hesitation.
All the warships,
long forgotten by history, now acted as humanity's vanguard, striking fear into the Armada. As the battle continued, strange phenomena appeared. Energy fields pulsed around certain ships, creating invisible barriers that redirected incoming fire. Alien beams bent around the hulls, unable to find purchase. Kale watched in awe as entire formations of enemy vessels were destroyed without a single human ship being harmed. It's like magic, he muttered. But it was not magic, it was centuries of preparation. Hidden knowledge and superior engineering brought into action at the perfect moment. Even with these advantages, humans knew caution was necessary. The Black Armada was massive, and its leadership was cunning. The ancient warships moved strategically, hitting weak points and withdrawing before counterattacks could be effective. Not mere power designed to cripple the enemy and protect human fleets at the same time. Rena's squadron reached the flagship of the Armada. The massive vessel loomed above, dark and terrifying, bristling with weapons. But as the ancient warships engaged, something remarkable happened. The flagship's energy systems overloaded under coordinated attacks from multiple angles, beams, slicing through the hull with surgical accuracy. The ship shuddered violently, systems failing one by one. Alien crews scrambled, trying to regain control, but it was too late. Within minutes, the flagship was incapacitated, drifting silently. In space, Kale leaned back, breathing heavily. They just did what no one else could, he whispered. Elena's expression was serious, though a shadow of satisfaction crossed her face. This is only the beginning, she said. The Armada is learning that humans have weapons they cannot understand, and that knowledge will make all the difference in the coming battles. Across the galaxy, whispers spread among the Black Armada's ranks. Fear replaced confidence, confusion replaced strategy. Every vessel that had once believed itself invincible now realized humanity's hidden strength. They were meant to be extinct, one alien commander muttered, almost in disbelief. And yet, they are the deadliest force we have ever encountered. In the orbital station above Talion Prime, Alina and Kale reviewed reports of the warship's effectiveness. Every mission, every strike, had exceeded expectations. The ancient ships, combined with human ingenuity and courage, had shifted the balance. It was no longer a fight the Black Armada could win by numbers alone. Humans had introduced a variable that could not be measured, predicted, or countered. Rena's ship flew past the battlefield, taking in the devastation. Ships burned, debris floated in the void, and alien crews faced the horrifying reality of humanity's power. Begun, she said quietly, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. They don't know what's coming next. Alina watched as the warships regrouped, readying for the next engagement. Every captain understood their place, every crew member prepared for sacrifice if necessary. Humans had revealed only a fraction of their strength, yet it was enough to send shockwaves through the galaxy. The Black Armada would recover. They always did. But humanity's hidden warships had shown that centuries of preparation, courage, and intelligence could defeat even the most terrifying force. And somewhere deep in the command room of Aegis, Alina allowed herself a small smile. The Armada had seen the tip of the iceberg. They had no idea what lay beneath the surface secrets older than their fleets. Waiting to be unleashed when the time was right, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the battles below. But humanity's presence in the fight was no longer subtle. The Armada had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans were not only resilient, they were ancient, paired, and deadly beyond imagination. And in the quiet hum of the flagship, a single thought echoed in Elena's mind: the war was far from over. But the humans had begun to show the galaxy why they could never be ignored. The galaxy had begun to feel the weight of humanity. After the unveiling of the ancient warships, the Black Armada trembled in ways it had never experienced. Its fleets, once confident and dominating, were now hesitant, uncertain. Every move they made seemed to be anticipated, every strike countered with precision. Humans had changed the battlefield. The tide of war was beginning to turn. Commander Alina Voss watched the holodisplay aboard the flagship Aegis. Red dots represented alien fleets. Green dots represented human vessels. The pattern was clear. The Armada was scattered, trying to regroup, but every path they took was being predicted. "Prepare the fleets for coordinated strikes," Alina ordered. "We hit them before they can recover. Right timing is everything." Around her, officers moved with purpose. Executing orders with flawless precision, Lieutenant Rena Holt led a squadron through a dangerous sector known as the Void Passage. The region was filled with asteroid fields and energy anomalies, areas where alien ships believed they had the advantage. But humans had studied this zone for years. Hidden sensors guided them, warp routes were mapped with perfect accuracy, and ancient warships flanked their path. As Rena maneuvered through the chaos, the first wave of alien cruisers appeared, expecting an easy ambush. Instead, they were met with concentrated fire. Explosions lit the dark expanse as the human squadron struck. Smaller alien vessels were destroyed first, giving the larger ships a momentary distraction. Energy beams from the ancient warships cut through massive holes, while human pilots coordinated attacks that seemed impossible to predict. The Black Armada faltered. Its formations broke apart, its command structure disrupted.
Ow.
Ships could not respond fast enough. Kale monitored the battle from the orbital station, above Talion Prime. His eyes widened as human strikes continued with unerring accuracy. "They're controlling the fight," he whispered. "Every ship, every weapon, it's all synchronized." Alina nodded. "Not just synchronized," she said. "They are thinking ahead. They anticipate what the enemy will do before the enemy knows themselves." In another system, humans executed simultaneous attacks on multiple supply hubs. Alien ships that tried to respond were intercepted by hidden human vessels. Energy fields pulsed, creating barriers that alien weapons could not penetrate. Every strike from the humans was precise, cutting deep into the Armada's capabilities. Reports came in of alien morale breaking. Crews were refusing orders, systems malfunctioned from panic and overwork, and commanders were scrambling desperately to regain control. The first 5 minutes of the main engagement were decisive. Humans did not just attack, they dominated. Every move, every strike, every strategy was a demonstration of overwhelming intelligence and coordination. Rena's squadron destroyed an entire fleet of alien scouts in moments, while hidden warships targeted cruisers and capital ships, leaving chaos in their wake. The Black Armada could not understand what was happening. Their ancient war machines, designed for decades of conquest, were being shattered by a species they had dismissed as weak. Elena's communications channels buzzed constantly with updates. "We are hitting their forward bases," one officer reported. "Supply lines are severed, reinforcements delayed," another voice added. "Enemy morale is collapsing. We cannot coordinate effectively." Elena's eyes were sharp, could keep pressure. "Show them we are not just fighting, we are controlling the war." Rena's ship dove toward the center of the chaos. Alien cruisers tried to flank her, but humans had anticipated every maneuver. Laser fire streaked across space, missiles exploded in controlled patterns, and the ancient warships struck with devastating force. Each destruction of an alien ship sent shockwaves through the remaining fleets. Fear spread quickly. Confidence turned to panic, and hesitation replaced aggression. Kale leaned closer to the screen, stunned by the unfolding chaos. The tide is really turning," he murmured. Alina did not answer immediately. She was focused, studying the patterns of alien movement, calculating where the next strike should occur. "Yes," she finally said. "But this is only the beginning. They will adapt. We must stay ahead. Always ahead." Suddenly, a new threat appeared. A massive alien dreadnought emerged from the shadow of a nearby star, its energy systems glowing like molten metal. It fired a massive beam toward a human supply convoy, but the humans were ready. Ancient warships had predicted this attack. In perfect coordination, Rena and her squadron maneuvered the convoy behind asteroid cover while warships unleashed countermeasures. The beam struck nothing but empty space, dissipating harmlessly. Alina allowed herself a small, grim smile. "They think they can surprise us, but we have prepared for centuries. They cannot outthink humans." Across the fleet, officers and pilots felt renewed determination. Humans were no longer merely defending, they were attacking, predicting, and outmaneuvering an enemy that had once seemed unbeatable. The battle raged on for hours, but the result was clear. Alien fleets were shattered, supply lines destroyed, and morale broken. Humans had not only survived, they had dominated. Across multiple systems, reports came in. The Black Armada's advance had stalled. Reinforcements delayed, and the galaxy now watched as humanity seized control of the battlefield. Rena glanced at the stars, the dark forms of alien ships, drifting and burning in space. "We've done it," she whispered. "We're turning the tide." Elena's voice came over the coms, calm but resolute. "We've done more than that. We've shown the galaxy that humans cannot be underestimated. But remember, the fight is not over. They will return stronger. And when they do, we must be ready." Kale looked at the holodisplay, watching the scattered alien fleets. "The Armada will never forget this," he said. "Every captain, every soldier, they will fear humans now." Alina nodded. "Let them fear. But let them learn that fear alone is not enough to defeat us." In the shadows of space, humanity had struck with precision, courage, and intelligence. The Black Armada had felt the sting of human strategy, and for the first time, hesitation and doubt replaced confidence. The tide of war had shifted. Humans were no longer just participants. They were becoming the force that controlled the battlefield. And as the stars shimmered silently above, Lena and her fleet prepared for the next engagement, knowing the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The tide had turned, but the war was far from over.
All humanity
Had taken the first step toward absolute control, and every move from this point forward would solidify their dominance. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had turned the tide of war, but the Black Armada was far from defeated. Its fleets, though shattered, were still vast and deadly. Commander Elena Voss knew the next move had to be decisive. Hesitation would cost lives, and the humans could not afford another retreat. Every strike from now on had to count. Every plan had to succeed. On the bridge of the flagship Aegis, Elena's eyes scanned the holodisplay. Red dots represented alien fleets, scattered but regrouping. Green dots represented humans, coordinated, perfectly ready for the next assault. "This is the final gambit," she said quietly, almost to herself. "We either end this now, or we continue a war that could last centuries." Her officers listened in silence, understanding the gravity of her words. Lieutenant Rena Holt piloted her squadron into the heart of enemy territory. The space ahead was dark, filled with alien warships bristling with weapons and energy pulses. But humans had planned for this. Every maneuver had been rehearsed, every strike calculated. Ancient warships moved ahead, shielding smaller human vessels and cutting down alien scouts before they could react. The first 5 minutes of engagement were chaos and brilliance. Humans struck with precision, tearing through supply lines, crippling cruisers, and destroying forward command posts. Alien crews were caught off guard, unable to respond in time. Explosions lit the void, a stark contrast to the darkness of space. The Black Armada had underestimated humans once, and they were doing it again. Kale monitored the battle from Talion Prime. "There, overwhelming them," he whispered. "Every strike, every move, it's perfect." Elena did not respond immediately. Our eyes were on the display, calculating next steps. "Perfection is not enough," she said finally. "We must force them to surrender or be destroyed." In the midst of the chaos, a massive alien dreadnought emerged from the shadow of a gas giant. Its energy systems glowed red and white, signaling power beyond any other ship in the fleet. It fired at Rena Squadron, massive beams cutting through space, but humans anticipated the attack. Ancient warships deployed energy shields and diversionary decoys. The beams struck nothing but empty space, and the dreadnought's crew struggled to understand what had happened. The humans pressed forward. Hidden strike teams teleported aboard key enemy vessels, sabotaging engines, communication arrays, and weapon systems. Alien ships that had once been unstoppable now drifted helplessly, unable to coordinate or fight back effectively. Every loss weakened morale. Every victory strengthened human confidence. Rena's squadron reached the flagship of the Black Armada. It was enormous, its surface black as obsidian, energy pulsing like the heartbeat of a giant. But the humans had learned its patterns. Coordinated strikes from all directions overloaded the ship's defenses. Energy shields flickered and failed, weapons misfired, and alarms blared across the vessel. Alien commanders shouted orders, but the humans anticipated every move, striking faster than any reaction could occur. Meanwhile, on the surface of nearby colonies, hidden human weapons activated. Massive energy beams tore through alien reinforcements attempting to land. Ships exploded before they could touch down. Civilians and ground troops watched in awe and relief as humans controlled both space and land simultaneously. The Black Armada had nowhere to hide, nowhere to regroup. Kale turned to Elena, eyes wide. "They can't survive this," he said. "The Armada is breaking." Elena nodded. "They will fight to the last," she said, "but they will lose." Every officer on the bridge understood that this was humanity's moment. The gambit had begun, and the outcome would determine the fate of the galaxy. In the chaos of battle, the dreadnought attempted a desperate maneuver. It unleashed a massive pulse of energy, intended to cripple human forces in one strike. But humans had anticipated this. Ancient warships absorbed and redirected the energy, turning it back toward the alien vessel. The dreadnought shuddered violently. Systems failing one by one, explosions ripped through its hull, and within minutes, it drifted helplessly in space. A monument to humanity's precision and planning. Rena and her squadron moved to intercept fleeing ships, cutting off retreat routes and ensuring no vessel escaped. The humans were everywhere, coordinated and unstoppable. Even the most skilled alien pilots found themselves outmatched, outsmarted, and outmaneuvered. Every strike reinforced a single truth. Humans were not only participants in this war, they were masters of it. As the dust of battle settled, the Black Armada lay in ruins. Fleets were scattered, supply lines destroyed, and morale shattered. Alien commanders could only watch in disbelief as humans controlled the battlefield with unmatched strategy and intelligence. Humanity had played its final gambit, and it had succeeded beyond expectation. Elena looked at her fleet. Every ship intact, and every crew member aware of their role in the victory. "We have shown them," she said softly, "what humans are. Capable of, the Armada will never forget this day." Rena smiled quietly, her eyes on the drifting remnants of the enemy. "And neither will the galaxy," she said. Kale recorded the final reports, his hands trembling slightly. "We've changed everything," he whispered. "The Armada underestimated us, and they paid the price." Elena nodded. "This war is far from over," she said. "But today, humanity has claimed the advantage. And from this day forward, the galaxy will know We do not surrender, we do not retreat, and we will never be ignored. The stars sparkled above, indifferent to the devastation below. Yet among the humans, a new confidence burned. They had risked everything, played the ultimate gambit, and emerged victorious. The Black Armada had fallen not merely to firepower, but to strategy, courage, and the unyielding will of a species determined to survive. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the remaining alien forces learned a harsh lesson. Humans were not just a threat, they were a force beyond prediction, beyond comprehension, and beyond fear. The final gambit had been played. Humanity had won the first decisive victory, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence was thick with anticipation. After years of chaos, human ingenuity, and unrelenting courage, the Black Armada lay broken. Its fleet scattered, its leaders in despair. The galaxy had witnessed something no species had ever seen before. Humanity was no longer just a participant, it was ascendant. Commander Alina Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Aegis, gazing at the distant stars. Every system they had fought in bore the marks of humanity's strategy: shattered alien ships, destroyed supply lines, and liberated colonies. But even in victory, she knew the work was not complete. The remnants of the Black Armada still lurked in the shadows, and they would strike again if given the chance. Lieutenant Rena Holt piloted her ship above a liberated planet, watching as humans helped civilians rebuild. Energy fields had been deactivated, supply stations restored, and small fleets patrolled the skies. It was a sight that had once seemed impossible. Humanity had survived when all odds were against them, had faced annihilation, and now they were the dominant force in the sector. Kale monitored the final reports from Talion Prime. "They've accepted defeat," he said, a mixture of relief and awe in his voice. "Every colony, every station, even distant fleets they're submitting. They know they cannot win." Elena's expression was calm but resolute. "Victory is not just about destruction," she said. "It's about proving that humans cannot be underestimated." Today, the galaxy has learned that lesson. Across the star systems, alien commanders sent desperate messages, begging for peace, offering alliances, and trying to negotiate. Humanity responded not with mercy, but with strength. Strategic positions were maintained, defenses reinforced, and humanity's presence became a warning to any who would challenge them again. The message was clear. Humans had entered the galactic stage, and they would not be ignored. Rena's squadron moved through the stars, surveying the remnants of the Black Armada. Massive cruisers, once symbols of fear, floated disabled and powerless. Smaller ships were abandoned, drifting silently. Every victory had been achieved through courage, planning, and the long-hidden power of humanity's ancient warships. Armada had underestimated humans, and that mistake had cost them everything. Alina activated the communication channels, sending a message to every corner of the galaxy: humanity has survived, and humanity has risen. We do not seek endless war, but we will defend our right to exist. Any force that threatens life, freedom, or peace will face the same resolve. We are vigilant, prepared, and united. Humanity is ascendant. The response was immediate.
Systems.
Across the galaxy acknowledged the message, some in fear, others in awe. Alien leaders who had once laughed at humans now watched them with respect and wariness. Humans had proven their intelligence, strategy, and courage. They had survived impossible odds, defeated fleets larger than anything imagined, and unveiled technology that even the oldest civilizations could not match. On the ground, humans and liberated alien colonies worked together. Survivors shared knowledge, rebuilt infrastructure, and formed alliances. Humanity had shown that their strength was not only in war, but in strategy, coordination, and the ability to inspire trust. Every colony, every fleet, every individual became part of a new era galactic community where humans led not just with force, but with intelligence and vision. Kale looked at the stars and felt a sense of awe. "We did it," he whispered. We've changed everything. Elena's eyes softened, but she remained focused. We've only begun, she said. The galaxy will remember this day forever. Humans have risen, and now we decide what comes next. In the dark reaches of space, remnants of the Black Armada fled or surrendered. Their empire, once feared, had crumbled. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species thought insignificant. Humans were no longer to be underestimated, no longer to be ignored. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and preparation could overcome even the deadliest threats. Rena and her squadron flew over a liberated colony. Children waving from the surface, ships patrolling the skies safely. It was a victory that felt personal, a moment that reminded everyone why humanity fought. It faced annihilation, survived impossible odds, and now stood as protectors of a galaxy that had once doubted them. Elena looked toward the distant stars, her mind focused. On the future, this is just the beginning, she said. We will build, explore, and protect. We will rise not just as survivors, but as leaders. Humanity is ascendant, and the galaxy will never forget it. The stars shimmered with a new light, reflecting the rise of a species that had once been underestimated. Humanity had faced the Black Armada, endured impossible trials, and emerged victorious. They had turned fear into respect, weakness into power, and chaos into order. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the galaxy, the remaining forces learned the same lesson that had echoed across centuries. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not retreat, and humanity would never be ignored. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was ascendant.